Oh, God. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. Why is he pulling it sideways?
Sitting sideways.
A catastrophic flash flooding event has paralyzed the city of Marshall, Texas, and surrounding Harrison County, following an unprecedented meteorological onslaught that dumped up to 2 feet of water across the region. Local emergency management networks, municipal authorities, and state rescue assets have been deployed in a full-scale tactical response as major transportation arteries, vital commercial zones, and dense residential sectors face severe inundation. Harrison County Judge John Oswalt and the Marshall Police Department have instituted strict emergency measures, advising citizens to completely avoid travel as low-lying areas turn into fast-moving rivers. The National Weather Service, NWS, Shreveport, has extended multiple hydrological warnings, underscoring the extreme, life-threatening nature of the ongoing disaster. The environmental crisis unfolding across East Texas is the direct result of a stalled, moisture-rich atmospheric training system that locked directly over the Arklatex region. Precipitable water values climbed to near-record seasonal highs, acting as an atmospheric sponge that repeatedly unleashed torrents of torrential rain over the undulating terrain of Harrison County. Unlike typical summer thunderstorms that sweep rapidly across the plains, this system established a stationary boundary directly over the city of Marshall. Individual convective cells continuously regenerated along the same narrow track, a phenomenon known in meteorology as training. As a result, the soil quickly reached its absolute saturation point within the first 2 hours of the downpour. With nowhere for the water to soak into the earth, 100% of the subsequent rainfall instantly transformed into surface runoff, overwhelming natural creeks, engineered drainage ditches, and municipal storm sewer networks. Official and automated rain gauges scattered throughout Marshall registered staggering metrics. In localized pockets, cumulative precipitation totals approached an astounding 24 inches, 2 feet, within an abbreviated operational window. This volume of water represents a statistical anomaly, shattering historical single-day precipitation baselines for the area. The sheer velocity of the accumulation meant that smaller watersheds underwent explosive rises, jumping from normal summer baselines to major flood stages in less than 45 minutes. The structural and geographical configuration of Marshall has left multiple distinct sectors highly vulnerable to rising waters. The following subsections provide a granular look at the specific intersections, thoroughfares, and commercial hubs currently experiencing severe operational disruptions. The foundational commercial spine of Marshall, U.S. Highway 59, East End Boulevard, has borne the brunt of the flash flood's destructive energy. A critical stretch of Highway 59, extending from the commercial node near Taco Bell down to the intersection of Poplar Street, has been officially closed by law enforcement. Water levels along this strip reached depths that entirely covered the wheel wells of standard passenger vehicles, forcing drivers to abandon their cars in the middle of the road. The structural integrity of the asphalt along this corridor is under severe stress. Heavy runoff has dislodged industrial trash receptacles, plastic barricades, and organic debris, transforming the highway into a hazardous obstacle course. High-clearance military-style vehicles are currently the only assets capable of wading through the deepest segments of the channelized floodwater. As the primary junction connecting east-west and north-south transit across Harrison County, the intersection of Highway 59 and Highway 80 is entirely crippled. Early in the day, unsuspecting commuters attempted to navigate the intersection, misjudging the depth of the standing water. This resulted in a dozen vehicles suffering instantaneous hydrostatic lock, stalling out outright and trapping occupants inside. Because this intersection serves as a primary pipeline for freight trucks moving through East Texas, the closure has rippled across regional shipping networks. Semi-trucks have been forced to pull over onto elevated shoulders, wading out the cresting waters as emergency crews establish hard cordons. Parker Creek, a natural drainage artery that snakes through Marshall's commercial sector, rapidly exceeded its maximum carrying capacity. The resulting out-of-bank flooding spilled directly into major retail plazas. The sprawling parking lots and front staging areas of major grocery chains, including Super One Foods and Kroger, were converted into contiguous lakes. The water rose with such swiftness that shoppers and store employees found themselves surrounded by an expansive body of water before orderly evacuations could be finalized. Water penetrated the low-slung entryways of several smaller strip malls flanking the Parker Creek Basin. Business owners report catastrophic structural and inventory damage, with water destroying electrical conduits, flooring, and low-level shelving units. Moving away from the commercial corridors, the residential zones flanking Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard have faced acute structural emergencies. The topographical profile of MLK Boulevard features several natural depressions that act as catch basins during intense rainfall events.
Wow.
Runoff from surrounding elevations converged here, rising rapidly against the foundations of single-family homes and apartment complexes. Unlike commercial zones where occupants could easily retreat to higher ground, the residential sectors required direct intervention. First responders utilized flat-bottomed rescue boats to navigate residential streets, pulling families from porches and ground floor units as internal living spaces began taking on several inches of mud-laden water. Beyond the municipal boundaries of Marshall proper, the rural expanses of Harrison County are dealing with systemic infrastructural failures. Dozens of secondary farm-to-market (FM) roads have experienced complete culvert failures. The sheer volume of water eroded the earthen supports beneath the roadways, leading to partial asphalt collapses and making transit impossible for isolated rural communities. Local sheriff deputies warn that unmonitored rural bridges over minor bayous and creeks are highly unstable. Citizens residing in unincorporated sectors are urged to remain sheltered in place, as emergency response times to these distant locales are inherently elongated by the widespread transit disruptions. The scale of the flash flood necessitated an immediate, synchronized response from multiple municipal and state agencies. The Marshall Police Department, Harrison County Sheriff's Office, Marshall Fire Department, and Regional Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS units, have formed a unified command structure. The primary focus of the first responders remains the preservation of human life. Swiftwater rescue technicians have been working continuously, deploying specialized gear to extract individuals from stranded platforms. Using specialized flotation devices and tethered lifelines, rescuers waded into the volatile currents around Highway 59 and Highway 80 to extricate drivers who were trapped inside rapidly filling cabins. A critical dimension of the rescue operation involves individuals requiring urgent medical care, such as dialysis or oxygen management. Emergency Medical Services, EMS, utilized elevated high-water transport assets to access cut-off residential zones, ensuring vulnerable citizens were successfully moved to local medical facilities without interruption. A recurring challenge highlighted by the Marshall Police Department is the dangerous trend of motorists disregarding established security perimeters. Authorities have expressed profound frustration over instances where drivers physically moved orange construction barrels or warning signs to force their way through flooded zones. This behavior not only puts the motorists at extreme risk, but also diverts vital rescue personnel away from critical life safety operations to perform preventable vehicle extractions. Law enforcement officials have issued an ironclad directive. Anyone caught bypassing or altering official road closure markers will face immediate citation, vehicle impoundment, or arrest under reckless endangerment statutes. The sheer volume of the water has compromised Marshall's core civil infrastructure, leading to secondary utility emergencies that complicate the ongoing recovery efforts. As floodwaters breached subterranean electrical vaults and knocked down localized utility poles, parts of the municipal power grid failed. Dozens of critical traffic signals across Marshall are currently completely dark or defaulting to a flashing red alert status. Municipal engineers emphasize that a dark traffic light must legally be treated by all drivers as a traditional four-way stop sign. The absence of structural compliance at these intersections has already caused minor secondary vehicular collisions, further tangling emergency response routes. Utility crews are working in hazardous conditions to isolate flooded circuits and restore electricity to affected neighborhoods. However, in areas where water levels remain above electrical service boxes, power will remain intentionally cut off to prevent catastrophic electrocution hazards. Marshall's stormwater and sanitary sewer systems are operating under maximum hydraulic pressure. The massive influx of surface water entered sanitary sewer manholes, causing system-wide surcharges. Residents are being asked to conserve indoor water usage where possible, as the municipal treatment facilities work at maximum capacity to process the unprecedented surge. The National Weather Service's signature safety campaign, Turn Around, Don't Drown, has become the operational mandate for the entire population of Marshall. Public safety officials continuously warn that just 6 inches of fast-moving water can sweep an adult off their feet, while 12 inches is sufficient to float and carry away most standard passenger sedans. Murky floodwaters completely obscure underlying structural hazards, such as missing manhole covers, deep sinkholes, and shattered concrete. Harrison County Judge John Oswalt has repeatedly asked residents to stay off all public roads unless fleeing a life-threatening situation. Minimizing civilian traffic allows emergency vehicles to navigate the city with optimal speed. For residents whose homes have already taken on water, authorities recommend documenting everything via photographs and video as soon as it is safe to do so, laying the groundwork for subsequent insurance claims and federal aid assessments. Citizens are advised to ignore unverified social media rumors and instead rely on verified alerts from the Marshall Police Department Facebook page, the Harrison County Emergency Management Portal, and NOAA weather radio broadcasts. Heavy rainfall across the coastal bend is leading to road closures, flooding concerns, and warnings from local law enforcement in multiple communities, including Corpus Christi and Beeville. In Corpus Christi, officials are warning drivers to expect intermittent closures along northbound Interstate 37 near the bayfront during periods of heavy downpours. Authorities say the precautionary closures are being implemented for safety as water conditions fluctuate quickly. The Corpus Christi Police Department will monitor the area and assist with detours as needed. Drivers are urged to allow extra travel time and remain alert for changing conditions, especially during active rainfall events. Separately, the Corpus Christi Police Department issued a traffic alert for significant flooding at Highway 286 northbound and southbound near Port Avenue. Officials are urging motorists to avoid the area entirely and seek alternate routes due to dangerous high water conditions impacting travel. In Beeville, they're also warning residents about multiple locations that are prone to flooding during heavy rain. While not every area floods during each storm, officials say conditions can change rapidly and water levels may rise faster than expected. Common flood-prone areas in Beeville include intersections and creek-adjacent roadways, such as 400 East Milam, 400 East Crockett, Stamper Street and Minneapolis Avenue, 100 West Cato, 700 West Diaz, 600 West Hefferman, 200 South Jackson, and intersections near North Adams Street with East Bates Street and US 59. The Nueces County Sheriff's Office is also monitoring several roadway hazards tied to the ongoing rainfall. Officials reported standing water on Highway 286 at County Road 14, though the roadway remains passable at this time. In Robstown, flooding has been reported on Nueces Street, Mesquite Street, Garcia Street, and West Avenue J, between Bosquez Street and Picker Lane. Authorities say some of these areas may be impassable and are urging motorists to use caution and avoid driving through flooded roadways. Authorities emphasize that the list is not comprehensive and flooding can occur in additional locations depending on rainfall intensity. Drivers are encouraged to plan ahead, avoid low water crossings, and allow extra travel time during periods of heavy weather. Officials across the region continue to urge the public to stay weather aware and monitor updates as conditions develop. Meanwhile, a woman who was swept away by floodwaters early Monday morning in Bandera County, has been found dead, authorities said. The incident began around 5:30 a.m. when the driver called 911 to report her vehicle had been overtaken by fast-moving water near Lower Mason Creek Road. Dispatchers stayed on the line for several minutes as the vehicle was carried downstream before the call disconnected, likely due to water entering the car. The sheriff's department was able to ping her cell phone location. Search crews, including swift water rescue teams, Texas Department of Public Safety aircraft, drones, and local volunteers, spent the day searching the area. Around 4:30 p.m., responders located the submerged vehicle several miles downstream. It took a while for the water to recede to where we could actually make the sighting of the vehicle that was submerged. So the water receded enough we could see the top of the car, said Jason Rutherford, Bandera County Fire Marshal. The woman was found inside and was pronounced dead at the scene. Officials have not released her identity. The Bandera County Sheriff's Office is reminding drivers that even shallow, fast-moving water can quickly become deadly. Floodwaters shut down several roads across the Texas Hill Country on the morning of Monday, June 15th, stranding drivers, damaging roadways, and prompting urgent warnings from local officials. In Bandera County, the Sheriff's Office warned residents to stay away from low-water crossings, creeks, and other flood-prone areas as water levels climbed quickly. Officials said conditions were expected to become extremely dangerous and urged people not to ignore barricades or attempt to drive through flooded roads. Several roads in Bandera were closed, including Hackberry Street from 11th Street to Main Street, Maple Street from Highway 173 to 15th Street, 14th Street from Highway 16 South to Maple Street, 15th Street from Highway 16 South to Maple Street, and Mulberry Street from Bandera Boulevard to Buck Creek. Authorities also warned residents to avoid several high water areas, including Privilege Creek Road, Kyle Ranch Road, and State Highway 16 South near Red Bluff. Do not attempt to drive through flooded roadways, the Sheriff's Office wrote in a social media post. It only takes a small amount of moving water to sweep away a vehicle. The flooding also created dangerous conditions northeast of Borne. In Sisterdale, volunteer firefighters said crews responded Monday morning to multiple incidents involving vehicles and people stranded at low water crossings. Floodwaters caused significant damage to Farm to Market 1376 at Wasp Creek in Sisterdale, forcing crews to close the roadway. In the welfare area near Borne, the Big Joshua Creek crossings were also expected to remain closed throughout the day, according to Waring Fire Rescue. The city of Borne also announced several street and intersection closures Monday due to flooding. Herf Road, River Road, and Esser Road were closed after water from Cibolo Creek spilled over the roadway, making the area unsafe for drivers. Barricades have been placed at the closures, and city officials are asking drivers not to go around them. Austin's emergency crews responded to a lease on water rescue on Monday morning after heavy rains closed dozens of low-water crossings across central Texas. Austin-Travis County Emergency Services responded to the 10100 block of Old San Antonio Road at I-35 after a driver got their car stuck in floodwaters after they drove around a barricade blocking off the road. A TCEMS said that crews rescued the driver. Officials said the driver only had minor injuries. According to ATXFloods.com, the crossing closed at 4:22 a.m. Monday morning. The scene was cleared before 5:30 a.m. The vehicle remained on the flooded roadway. Barton Springs Pool is closed until further notice, according to the city of Austin, after heavy overnight storms sent fast-moving, murky water through the system, raising concerns about water quality. Experts say while the surge can look exciting, it also brings uncertainty, especially when it comes to water quality and algae growth. Plus, bacteria levels typically spike after heavy rain, as runoff carries organic material into waterways. Brent Bellinger, Conservation Program Supervisor with Austin Watershed Protection, said Central Texas geology plays a major role in what happens after heavy rainfall. We just have the characteristics that a lot of material gets flushed into our waterways during a rainfall, he said. After months of dry conditions, sediment and organic material build up in the watershed.
2 feet.
This first flush in particular just brings a lot of that material downriver with it, said Bellinger. That runoff includes soil and nutrients, which can fuel bacteria and the growth of plants and algae, including toxic blue-green algae and hydrilla. When you bring in a lot of this fresh material, you can potentially really stimulate a lot of growth, he said. Heavy rainfall on Monday afternoon led to street flooding across parts of North Houston, stranding several vehicles and keeping tow truck operators busy as water covered roadways near the North Freeway feeder road and West Mount Houston Road. The flooded intersection became a gathering point for commuters, tow truck drivers, cyclists, and residents navigating the high water as storms moved through the area. For some drivers, the flooding came with a significant cost. I just lost my vehicle, Simeon Cooper said. Now I have to work 10 times harder to replace my vehicle for my family. It sucks. It's a bummer. As some motorists dealt with the aftermath of stalled vehicles, others found a different use for the flooded streets. A group of ATV riders took advantage of the standing water, riding through flooded areas after deciding to skip work for the day. We were supposed to work today, Quan Irvin said. I saw the water. I made a call. He made a call. He made a call. Bring the toys out. As conditions improved later in the day and water levels began to recede, some residents stepped in to help stranded motorists. Trucks could be seen pulling vehicles through flooded areas, while tow operators remained on standby. I was trying to help him out, said Kevin Tertios, who assisted a driver whose vehicle became stuck in the water. Mauricio Prado with Mo Towing and Recovery said the flooding created a steady stream of calls throughout the afternoon. Around 10:30 to 12 o'clock, it got really busy, Prado said. Prado said even larger vehicles can struggle in flooded conditions. Even with this truck being an 8,000-pound vehicle, it gets moved when we gotta tow people through the water, he said. So these small cars, Toyotas, Camrys, Corollas, they get moved real easily. While Prado said Monday's flooding did not appear to cause widespread dangerous conditions, he urged drivers to avoid entering flooded roadways. For business, it's good, Prado said of responding to stranded vehicles. But we really don't want to have to go in there. A car can catch on fire real quick. Authorities routinely remind drivers to follow the safety message, turn around, don't drown, when encountering flooded roads. An Acres Homes man said his street saw its worst flooding since Hurricane Beryl on Monday. Mansfield and several surrounding streets were barely passable when Eyewitness News visited around 5 p.m. Ariel Maldonado spoke to us from his driveway, one of the few dry spots in sight. The ditches were full, so it was basically just rising and rising, and I was at work just constantly watching the cameras, Maldonado said. During his 5 years living there, Maldonado said the last time he saw his street flood as badly as it did Monday was in 2024 during Hurricane Beryl. The new constructions that's happening, the culverts, it looks like it's their main drainage line just coming into our main ditches, he said. While it's difficult to say if new development played a role in the flooding on his street, experts told ABC 13 a flooded street isn't necessarily an infrastructure problem. Generally speaking, most of our streets can handle about 2 inches of rain an hour, said Jeff Lindner, meteorologist with the Harris County Flood Control District. Today, we were getting rainfall rates of 1 inch of rain in 15 minutes. That's greatly exceeding the design of that pipe under the ground to carry that water. The city said it was preparing for more flooding on Tuesday by staging high water rescue vehicles around the city and preemptively blocking off roads that are known to flood. Officials said they've also lowered water levels in Lake Houston. White Oak Bayou rose about 20 feet in 4 hours on Monday, according to National Weather Service data. You can monitor waterways in Harris County in real time with the Harris County Flood Warning System.
Oh my God.